everybody. I'm Melissa from Untitled Astrology, and I'm here to talk to you about the astrology of May 25th through 31st, the last week of May here. We have several things going on, including resets, sign changes, as well as some deep energy. Before we get into all of that, I want to remind you to like, follow, and subscribe so that way you don't miss anything that we have going on here, including our live meditations on Sunday nights, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Those are streamed to both YouTube and Facebook. So we start out the weeks here Sunday, May 25th, with the moon in the sign of Taurus, where it will make a square to Mars. And we also start out the beginning of this week with Mercury moving into the sign of Gemini. Mercury in Gemini is in its home sign, so it's in its place of rulership where it does very, very well. Mercury likes to look at all the little details and bring in lots of information, and Gemini is curious enough and communicative enough to bring in all of those details and to look at all of the different parts to be able to understand it. It just wants to bring in lots of different information and learn about lots and lots of different things here. As Mercury enters the sign of Gemini, it's instantly going to turn into a sextile with Saturn. So even though we are bringing in lots of information and we are maybe a little bit curious and maybe a little bit playful about the different things that we are considering and just bringing lots of different things in, there's still a little bit of a serious function that comes in here, and it might be related to the actions that we take based on the information that we are bringing in, because Saturn is now in the sign of Aries rather than the sign of Pisces. So there may be a busy mental sphere as we start out here, but there's a serious focus and a contemplation at the same time. So it's an interesting dynamic. As Mercury moves off of that sextile with Saturn, it's going to move directly into the sextile with Neptune, which is sitting just 1 degree away from Saturn. This allows us to step into our imagination. This allows us to dream a little bit, but do it loudly, do it fiercely. We are maybe able to speak up for our beliefs, speak up for our inspirations. So maybe the sextile with Saturn is setting us up with the foundations and the frameworks to be able to expand a little bit as Mercury moves into that contact with Neptune. And it's sitting in Mercury is sitting in a place where it's very happy and it can do what it likes to do, which is bringing in lots of information, looking at the details, understanding all of the different things here. So that's where we start out the beginning of the week. And that Taurus moon that we have on Sunday will take us right into Monday, May 26th, before the moon moves into the sign of Gemini, setting us up for our new moon at 6 degrees of Gemini on Monday, May 26th. The new moons on their own are a seeding moment. It's a reset. It's a new lunar cycle that is starting. So in the sign of Gemini, it could be a mental and communication reset. So we might start to have mental shifts within the mind. That Taurus moon will take us right into Monday, May 26th, where the moon will start, and then it moves into the sign of Gemini, setting us up for our Gemini new moon that we have at 6 degrees of Gemini coming through in the evening around 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. New moons are seeding moments. They are a reset. They are a starting of a new lunar cycle. They are seeding moments for whatever is going to come up over the rest of the lunar cycle, almost a month's time. In the sign of Gemini, it's possible that it could be a mental and communication reset. So maybe we start to think a little differently. Maybe we have different ways that we start to communicate. Maybe we start bringing in new information or considering different perspectives. It's interesting that the last new moon that we are going to have, the last full lunar cycle that we're going to have with Jupiter in the sign of Gemini, starts in the sign of Gemini. So this is our this feels like a nice last push and pull to really initiate and start whatever it is that we've been called to in the sign of Gemini, if we haven't quite started or initiated or stepped into that energy, or if it's something that we have started, initiating and has been kind of working itself out, then maybe this is a good place to step into the new level of it or progress that forward into a new stage or a new process in some way. So I feel like that is a interesting thing to note here. We also have Mercury applying to the new moon by about 4 degrees. So Mercury is moving into that engagement range for its Cazimi later on this week. We have several little things this week that look like resets, restarts, transformations, rebirths, new cycles and new transformations coming up here. And this new moon here coming out at the beginning of the week on Monday really emphasizes new mental processes and new things starting in the house where Gemini is in our own chart and the topics that are related to that. When you have a seeding moment, it's things that might not quite be visible yet, kind of like when you plant a seed in the ground, you don't really know that there's something growing, but in time, that seed will sprout and it will come up above ground, and then what is been seeded and starts to bloom will come into visibility. So it may be one of those things where you can see exactly what is starting, but it may be one of those things where you don't see it right away, and we kind of have to wait for it to blossom and bloom, and it's just the seeding moment and the starting of it here. So really cool new moon that we have coming through at the beginning of this week. That Gemini moon will take us right into Tuesday, May 27th, where it will be all day, and Mercury, just before coming into the Cazimi moment with the sun, which is Mercury's own resetting moment within its own sign, right on top of a new moon, we have Mercury coming into a trine with Pluto. So this is another hint at a rebirth or a transformation of some kind. Pluto is the planet of death, rebirth, and therefore transformation. So Pluto can bring up things that lead us to new paths, new places, and as a result, new cycles, new processes, new paths, new things being seeded, being sown. So that underworld theme of what is unseen, what we have previously not known, this trine here allows that to be unearthed in a way, and allows it to expand through the trine, bringing the two together and allowing them to work cohesively. So it's as if Mercury is looking at Pluto just before the Cazimi moment, just before it goes through its own death and rebirth, and it looks at the planet of death and rebirth and says, what do I need to let go of? What do I not need to bring into the next cycle? And then maybe seeing where we can find some of our own personal power and empowerment through that coming through here. Really an empowering moment just on the heels of the Cazimi for Mercury here. Since Mercury is not quite to that Cazimi moment, it's under the beams of the sun, and it's in a place where it may be it's kind of like the light is too bright to really see exactly what is going on. So wondering if in the beginning of the week, if there's a little bit of a trust in that unseen and a trust in the process that needs to come through here Monday and Tuesday, but then a strength and a power and a sense of our own will that comes up through that. This is quick, but it's a part of a powerful sequence that we have going on for Mercury this week. So Mercury is really going through a big transformation in a place where it can stand tall and it is empowered and is able to carry out the activities that it likes to carry out. So it really feels like by the end of the week, there should be some really good energy coming through here. So that's what we have going on Tuesday. That Gemini moon will take us right into Wednesday, May 28th, where the moon will be in the sign of Gemini until it moves into Cancer in the afternoon that day, making a few aspects on its way through. That Cancer moon will take us right into Thursday, May 29th. And that Cancer moon will see us through to that Mercury Cazimi that we have been talking about. So the exact time of that Mercury Cazimi is Thursday, May 29th at 12:09 a.m. Eastern Time. So translating that to your own time zone, 9 degrees, 1 minute of Gemini. This is the resetting moment for Mercury amongst these other resets in the sign of Gemini that we have going on here this week. So it's a death and rebirth process as well as a phasal change for Mercury. Mercury is going to be shifting from the morning star phase to the evening star phase, which is generally considered to be a little bit more sympathetic and a little bit more receptive, perhaps taking in a little bit more energy rather than expressing more energy, where the morning star phase is considered to be a little bit more youthful, a little bit more exuberant, and maybe a little bit more expressive, a little bit more of that youthful quality. So moving into the evening star phase for Mercury, as we have all of these resetting moments, feels like an empowering moment that has history behind it, feels like stepping into a place of empowerment from things that we have experienced, the processes that we've been through. That's indicated by the aspect that we have with Pluto. Pluto brings things up that are already there, but we don't see them. So it's not necessarily new things. It's just things that we haven't necessarily seen before. So super empowering week, once again, for Mercury here this week. That Cancer moon will take us right into Friday, May 30th, and the moon will move into the sign of Leo around 4 p.m. Eastern time that day. And then that Leo moon will take us right into Saturday, May 31st, the last day of May, and that's where we end our week for this week. So very, very fun and interesting things going on. New seeding moments, new startings, death and rebirth. We can definitely say that for this week as far as it goes to Mercury. So as far as it goes to our mind, our thoughts, communications, the way that we talk to other people, the way we perceive, the way other people communicate with us, the way we communicate with ourselves and the mental processes. Do we need new mental habits to come in here? Do we need to bring in new information and new processes? Do we need to consider philosophical or ethical or moral considerations related to the information that we are bringing in? Remember that Jupiter is still in the sign of Gemini, but before the next new moon, Jupiter will be moving into the sign of Cancer. So we have a little nod here to Jupiter as the last new moon that is coming through before Jupiter moves on is in the sign where Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini. So I hope that you are able to find some new things this week. I hope you are able to be a little curious about bringing in something new. And I hope you've enjoyed rolling through this week with me through this breakdown. If you have, then I invite you to join us at our live meditations. Those happen every Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, streamed both to YouTube and Facebook. If you are not able to make the live meditation at the time that we do live, you can always catch the replay on YouTube. So when you take into consideration this video and then you bring the information that you've gotten from this and the considerations and what has been coming up for you during this video, and then come to the meditation, it really feels like a good, conscious and collaborative way to move into the week, where we can lean into the energies that are coming up and we can find a way to work with them, as well as start to build and cultivate relationships with these planetary energies that are around us all the time. So I invite you to the live meditation Sunday night, and I invite you to come back next week for the next week's astrological breakdown. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next time.